Never-ending story. Hello and welcome to another weekly live stream. Tonight we're going to be continuing where we left off, which was continuing where we left off, in the never-ending saga of trying to get the physics controller working the way I want it, so we can start incorporating it into the real game. The reason this has been going slow is because I've been working on other things during the week and I'm only working on this on the live stream. That'll change once we get this next release out. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, Woozy and Oakstorm. Down in the lower left, you can see the patrons as they scroll by. They help keep the lights on, keep my servers running. All around good folk. Up in the upper left, you can see the link to download the current version of the game. While you can still do the super secret link and the super secret password, by the end of the month I'll be releasing one that's a little bit more public, and so we'll show that real quick. I showed a little bit of it last week, but it's basically minimum viable product, if you want to call it, for the new UI. I'm going to leave a flag in to turn on the old one just in case. But this is what I've got it looking like right now. All these links actually work. Moreover, the list of icons and the URLs to take you there are actually, once a day it'll download it from Mythruna.com, and if it can't, it'll just use one of the ones it's already got. Just in case I need to change these for some reason, like especially the Discord link. It might be that I have to regenerate the invite or something. But all this stuff works. You can select full screen, and you can select that. I'm currently hooking up multi-sampling, but all this stuff works. And then this does not, and I may remove that from this release, but this was supposed to be a bigger settings window that had some of the same settings that you can set by just monkeying with the config file directly. But that is not a requirement for getting this done. And then if we were to go into the game, the other thing I did was finally replace the black background with this image. And if you guys watch it closely, you'll see it slowly change, because it actually will fade from through a set of images. There's only two, but I have it like a day and a night image, so that it'll, over the period of about a minute, it will fade from night to day and back to day again, or back to night, back to day, and so on and so forth. So which I thought was kind of a cool effect if you happen to hang out on this menu for a while. You can see it change. I wanted to animate the fire too, but it was hard to animate the fire and have it be that blurry, like this is a Photoshop or Photopea blur, to keep the JPEG size small. But anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, so every other part of the game is basically the same at this point. So we will move on and get back to what we were doing last time, which was trying to make our character walk up ramps better and walk up steps. So I think we got to the point where we're about to start walking up steps. That's certainly where I'm going to continue. I struggle with the movie Princess Bride, where Vicini is trying to figure out whether there's poison in his drink or poison in Dread Pirate Robert's drink, and he's just overthinking and overanalyzing and so on and so forth. In design, that happens quite frequently, and the one thing I struggle with now is how much logic to put at any given... we don't want Mythruna girl, we want human female. We want fade. How much logic to put at each step. For example, hey Galactic Taco, how much of me controlling her, like if I'm just pushing her forward, how much of walking up the steps... That's awesome that it works. It's not supposed to, but it's awesome that it does. Oh no, we added the code to do that. That's right. I forgot about that. Like how much of that is something that should be built into this low-level physics control, and how much of it is something that should be built into like the higher levels where the pathfinding decides, no, I'm going to walk upstairs, or no, I'm going to climb a ladder. And so I waffle back and forth on that, but I think of, what if she were to walk into, like, pathfinding said go here, and she walked and this was water, and she waded into the water. We wouldn't want her to just keep walking and fall down into the bottom and not swim. She would automatically transition to swimming. And so I'm thinking kind of at that level, just enough intelligence. Like this, also walking upstairs isn't just about, it's not about performing an action as much as it is about animating in a different way. To me, in some sense, it's no different than walking up and down ramps, which of course doesn't look right either. That should be the same movement as anything else. And so walking up steps, and then whether I also do that for climbing ladders is still an open question. But at this point, I kind of have to, as they say, poop or get off the pot, right? I have to implement something and be willing to make mistakes that I may regret in the future and have to correct. I mean, that's what software development is. None of this is set in stone, and so we do what we can. And I would like the ability, yeah, I'd totally forgotten that we had her just walk up. I think the issue is that she aggressively walks up anything, right? We didn't put the collision shapes in yet, so she'll walk up these. Because the other thing I was thinking, if she detects that she's supposed to walk up like this, it's, this one right here, it's probably faster for her to just jump, to be honest. But yeah, so what we didn't do was we didn't implement the collision detection to determine, let's center the camera, like to determine whether it's just a step up or technically the way I've written it, since the very early days of Mythruna, you could step up by just pushing forward. You could step up the 1 meter blocks too, because I figured, you'd put your hands up and you'd climb up. I found that annoying in Minecraft that you couldn't just keep walking in a direction, you had to jump all the time. So I did it different. Hey Max, how's it going? And so technically, standard movement in Mythruna would be that characters can walk up a meter block. Because realistically, if you were a set of humans that grew up on a planet with blocks, you would be pretty good at walking up 1 meter blocks, right? So there'll be an animation for that, and that's normal. But then it gets into see, this is where I get wrapped around in my head, because if it gets to an AI point where AI may want to make a decision, do I jump up here because it's faster, or do I climb up there because it's quieter or stealthier, or just because I'm not in a hurry, that kind of thing. And then I get wrapped around it, and it doesn't matter. If I have something working, it's easier to make something else work than right now, which is the game has nothing like this for a NPC, so we might as well just get it to work. So let's control her back over to... Wow, she suddenly got really slow. Did she, or is it my imagination? No, legit, she's running at 30 frames a second. So it feels like something... Nope, memory is stable. I don't know, guys. Anyway, maybe it's just the live stream, but it just feels like she suddenly started walking really slow. Oh, that's the other thing. So yeah, we're not, she's not allowed to fall. Like, she doesn't fall as fast as she's supposed to, because she kind of keeps walking straight. And I noticed that you can kind of, if you climb up a wall, you can kind of walk sideways along the wall. Anyway, yeah, she got really slow. Let me see if restarting it fixes it. Just in case it really is a leak of some kind. Better to figure that out now. Of course, I recently, for whatever reason, when Steam installs itself, it sets itself up to, when it's downloading games, to use the absolute maximum bandwidth possible. And it, like, to the extent of any other traffic on your network. And so I used to find that when my Steam or my daughter's Steam account would be downloading games, like my whole network would die. And then we fixed that a long time ago because you can actually just you can control that in a setting. And then yeah, see, now she's fairly quick again. That's something to keep an eye on. Anyway, the other day I had this issue where none of my machines could resolve domain names and stuff. Like I've tried to ping Google and it wouldn't resolve it, and even within my network I couldn't resolve local host names. And man, I thought, and if I disconnected them from the network, it would take them forever to start up again. Yet if I could SSH down into my DHCP server downstairs, it was like once I SSH'd in, I got a good connection and I was up. And I'm 99.9% sure it's because my daughter got a Steam Deck for Christmas, and it was downloading a ton of games the other day. So I'm always sensitive about. My point is, I'm always sensitive about the network now. I've asked her to configure that to not kill my network. Just use the same settings we used for desktop Steam. But I just find that interesting that by default, Steam will try to get the games as fast as it can, regardless of anything your network might want to do instead. All right, so we want to basically, like we were doing in some of the other live streams, we want to add that collision shape and figure out where the step is. And so we want to make a version of her that we can query ahead. And we might want to talk a little bit about architecture too, because it occurred to me that there are decision points to make and certain things are swappable. Not just the difference between walking and flying, but whether they use certain animations to get up steps, how they determine that they can get up steps. A character that's twice as tall as her would see, 1 meter steps different than she sees 1 meter steps. And so I kind of think it needs to be the case where the physics controller itself, the one that just makes sure action turns into motion, has a little bit of sort of kind of like almost like pluggable if statements that you can plug in that says, hey, if this condition occurs, do this thing. So, if you're blocked and this condition occurs, step up. If you're blocked and this taller condition occurs, jump, that kind of thing. And we get pretty far with that if we could find a way to do it. So I'm thinking of that as I'm running through these. So this is where my editor left me when I came back in. So we were in and around here, basically drawing the things that were blocking us. And I think we hard-coded a walk-up mechanic. And so, yeah, so we have the on the ground, we have a fall time. So we keep track of whether we're on the ground or not. That's from earlier. We keep track of whether we're falling or not, which we give it a little bit of, we give it like a 0.2 second slop so that she doesn't fall, not fall, fall, not fall while she's walking down things. But part of that is also that when she is not on the ground, I think the air impulse needs to be less. And so the rig move, where do we set? It's the cam controller. Oh, that's the one I'm doing. Yeah. Somewhere, if the block time is greater than 0 and rig move is so basically if we're blocked and moving, then we just directly add a vertical force. to whatever we were already doing. So that's not entirely right either. I almost want to just make her jump up a little bit, just do little jumps, because it's an easy thing to encapsulate. And then when the walk, when the step up animation's there, the jump would also be obvious, right? If we, if she's standing right here and she does a little jump, of a certain height, it's more obvious than this slow walk up the thing, which could be a bug or could be a... Oh yeah, I remember. That's where we ended. We were figuring out exactly what force it took to make her go up, right? But I kind of like the fact that she just kind of steps up. So, but certainly, a jump. I can't time it right, but a jump would be more obvious. It would be easier for us to see if she was actually doing what we told her and not just an accident of the physics engine. Well, that's the other thing. I just changed it, so I want to check it. Let's control her again. Let's take her up here. Ooh, see that the jump. I don't have a jump implemented either, so I wanted to see what happens when she walks off an edge. So she should fall a little quicker. Yeah, good. So, yeah, I keep hitting the space bar like it's going to make me jump, but so when she walks off, she should fall a little quicker. Yeah, okay, that's a little more realistic. And that means when she's doing like this stuff, yeah, good. That's better. I give the player a little bit more Mario-style physics in that they can control their fall a little bit better, but for NPCs, that's not necessary. We don't act like while I'm controlling her right now, I'm very much feeling how it feels to be an NPC, and that's helpful, but that's not what NPCs need to worry about really in the end. So here's what we need to... Yeah, we need to decide, can we climb up and how we climb up. And here's what I'm thinking is that in the real code, it will iterate over a set of conditions and say, hey, if this condition is met, how do I get around this block? Is it do I start climbing? Do I jump? Do I just step up? That kind of thing. And so to do that, we're going to want to use a facsimile of the player, kind of like we were doing with those physics block objects we were making before. Eventually they'll all be the same thing, right? It's just one unified thing. But when we were setting up the driver, we created the body type. We created those body specific things. And so I'm probably just going to steal one of those and then we'll visualize it, make sure it's in the right place. Because if the more compatible I make this with the stuff we did before, the easier it'll be to integrate together. But along those lines, I'm going to think ahead a little bit. So this is the human probe shape, but we had different ones we were using for the pathfinding probe shapes. Because I would prefer... for this, just simpler ones. Create human character shaped blocks. We made this 6 tall. We set the scale externally. To 0.5, which meant a block was so it's like half a block, which doesn't really make sense. Alright, well, we will start here. We're making entirely new code over here, so and we will be a little smart about this and kind of encapsulate the work into a some kind of query shape or not quest shape. That'd be something else, wouldn't it? Sounds like a lot more fun though, frankly. I'm just going to park this code here for a second. And so, because I want to be able to incorporate the offset and the shape all together. So we want an M block shape. I think I've got all the same imports. Yeah, cool. So we're going to want M block shape, vec3d offset, and scale will be built in. Yeah, I'm gonna give this the name cog offset. I find that it looks like, according to the YouTube thing down there, we lost some viewers. I find I name things too generically sometimes in the live stream, and then we come down back 3 live streams later and I can't remember what I did that for. Cog offset is very clear to me that this is the shape relative to what the physics considers her center of gravity, which is actually down here, unfortunately. But it gives us something definite to work with, and if I had to translate this into something else, I know where to start, etc., etc. So let's do create human female query shape. And we'll do a name, sure. Scale we're going to build in for now. No, scale could come externally. That's what it is. So there, yeah, anyway, whatever. Okay, so all this stays the same for now until we find out otherwise. And then M block shape equals, and then return new query shape cog offset. It's going to be something like 0, well, that'll be centered, I think. Actually, it might just be, okay, before I go confusing things, I'm just going to set the 0, 0, 0. Okie dokie. Now up here, def query shape, and then where we create these, context query shape equals create human female query shape, and test is the name, 0.5 is the game, haha. I don't know why I included mass before, but we actually could include, no, let's don't. What did I use? I gave it null. Okay, so in that case, let's just not use it. If it's going to be null anyway. So if mass is null, mass is 0, that's fine. M is 0. All good. Should compile. Nope, I got something screwed up. Cog offset. Yep. Okay, that should compile at least. And it did, and now we want to visualize it. And so this is where I can get fun because I can make utility methods that work on this. I'm going to look over here. There's a where did I put it? Shape helpers. Create shape view. Set shape view position. These are all good things. And so when a shape is used to create the physics extension directly, the position and orientation is used to create a stand-in rigid body. I'm trying to remember what I did for this. So we took it, we wanted the shape relative center of gravity. Yeah. Alright. Let's just do it. So create shape view returns a shape entity, which we can do once and reuse it. Oh, we don't want setup driver, we want setup controller. No wonder that was so big. Query shape entity. Okay. So down here where we created that, we can also context query shape entity equals blank and query shape. Oh, the layer. So it's the layer. So that'll create the entity. Oops, apparently something it didn't like. No such property part for class query shape. Oh, yeah, we want the shape. Ta-da. Okay. So it won't render it until we put it somewhere. And that is where we want to do this. And so, down here, if true, so we want context query shape entity, context, I'm going to change these in a second, but query shape dot shape, vec3d pos equals body dot position dot add cog offset, which isn't exactly right. You'll see why in a second. So position, that's fine, and orientation. We'll use the body orientation. Okay, so will that fail? Or is it going to do stuff? Hey, check it out. It's always nice when... Yeah, so see, this is like way too big. I know, because we were... yeah. So I want to see what her body shape looks like and just make sure that, okay, well, so we can't see, she's got a box right here. I really need to fix that debug view. It isn't a one orb like this, so she's actually only this wide and with her hands. So this is a good width for it, but it's way too tall, and it's maybe not quite as granular as I'd want to be for climbing things. It's got to be at least as big as her so that we know sort of whether she can fit in the opening. Right? We don't want her to be able to step up on something if there's no room for her to go up there. So it needs to be at least as tall as she is, and at least as wide as she is. Because, I mean, it could just be a tiny little notch in the middle of a gap, you know, where she can't actually step up into it. But now we've got something to play with, and let's start playing with it. But I'll show you why what I just did isn't right as far as the offset thing I said I would show you'd see in a second. So if I add like 0.5 to z in the offset, it's going to move this forward. But because of the way I calculated it, if I were to control her now and turn her, it stays in the same place. It doesn't rotate with her. So that's something I did wrong, which I knew because I said I was doing it wrong. And so that's here. Visualize the query shape. And so instead of just adding it, we actually want to say body, I think it's local to world. Oh, it's going to want a target. Oh, maybe not. Well, let's see. Yep. Okay. Oh yeah, it lags one frame because we're doing this too early. That's a sort of a general problem I have with this whole method. We calculate her point of view down here somewhere. Yeah, this is where we turn her current pitch and yaw and stuff into orientation. And so these little visualizations we do up at the top will always lag one frame, which I'm okay with at the moment, but just keep in mind. Okay, was fun making my first mod plugin. Got to use 7-zip. That's been there for a while, by the way. I just only noticed it for the first time in a very long time. Whoa, 7-zip. Yeah. Nice. I need to entice some of you guys to start playing with the Mythruna plugins. I have a nascent programmer's guide that I've started that I accidentally click on here from time to time, which is the Mythruna game scripting. I need to go through here and make sure it's still complete at some point. Maybe I'll do a live stream on making a custom object or something with behaviors. Alright, so we've got her set up with a query and the offset's working, which means we can start monkeying with scale as well. Some of the scale is going to be based on her scale, which I think... Let's do... I'm going to do a couple things in order instead of all at once. Let's go back to setting this 2 blocks high, and oh, it's going to have to be 4 blocks high because I'm going to have the default scale be block scale equals 0.5. So it'll be like half blocks wide. Then whatever scale is passed in, we'll multiply those together to make the final scale. And I'm going to rename this to be mob scale. Too many generic scales. Okay, so that should make everything teeny tiny. Yep. But then I can come back down here and change this to like 0.95. I can figure out where it is in relation to her feet. Let's do this. Center the camera, that'll be better. Alright, so we can figure out what offset we need to give, which should end up being something sensible. It is going to be based on y offset equals block scale or mob scale times, really I need to find out where her feet are, but we're going to eyeball it for now, which will get me in trouble later. There's certain attachment points I can query on her to find out where her feet are, where her midsection is, and so on, where her center of gravity is supposed to be, but the physics puts her center of gravity right here. Because of the way the shape is created and the way the rig is created. It's a bug that I'm going to regret every day until I fix it, and it's only going to get harder to fix, but it's already hard to fix, so I'm putting it off. You know, if you've done software development, you know there are bugs like that. So the y offset is going to be about a block and a half, or about 1.25. Or 0.75. We're gonna go, or sorry, yeah, this and probably a little bit more than a half. We got to move it up. So let's just try 1.25 for a second, and the y offset. And we can get rid of this. Uh-oh, I messed something up. No such property y offset. Yeah, glasses would help. Okay, too much. That's too much. Okay, what if it was 0? That puts us here. Oh, right, we don't want to go up a full block. We want to go like 0.75. I keep forgetting these are half blocks. Yeah. Okay, so see, that's too tall. So we almost want to make this not scale, but height. And then we can potentially do something with that that's more interesting. So anyway, that's really just a math of she's 1.6 meters tall or something. And we would just be subtracting, dividing that back out again. So let's set the care height at 1.6. And so we want the block scale to be, let's say if we wanted 4 blocks, that means they need to be 0.4 high, which means they need, so if we wanted 4 blocks, 4 care height divided by 4. Is that right? Yeah. Aha! We're getting somewhere. I love it when I can math correctly. And so that means that I don't know why that, okay, so that because we shrunk the whole thing, that moved where 0 was, which is why we have to move. I'm just trying to figure out the math here. I think, oh, it's so close. Okay, so she's actually 1.65 meters tall. So let's try 0.65. Ooh, look at that. That right there is a nice snug fit. Ooh, I bet that would fit anywhere she could fit. Nice. Okay, we've got our query shape. Not only that, we should be able to detect what kind of step based on which block hits. which means we could set the blocks different based on, I don't know. It's just that lets me detect what kind of hit I'm getting a little easier, because the contacts for this particular query shape will tell me. Alright, and so when we're walking her around and we find we are blocked by this, man, everything's going really fast now all of a sudden. It's kind of nice. Okay, so when we find we're here and we're blocked by it, we ought to be able to use this query shape just a little bit ahead of us, maybe even ahead enough, because we're going to get a contact point, and so we're going to know how far that is away from her, and we ought to be able to just push this forward just enough to detect the edge and figure out what kind of block is in front of us. So let us do that now that we have a query shape that we like, and we have a section we know is for determining where we want to do it. Query the path ahead. And so, did we keep track of where we were blocked? We need to keep track of the closest block, really. We go through here. So we're blocked, but we really need to keep track of the closest one. So for now, I'm not going to do that. We'll just project ahead a little bit. Which I'm already... I already had the code to sort of do that. That's what happens. These become like these sprawlingly big methods. Okay, so down here I got this big indication here. So what we want to do is steal some code over from here. Is dot query contacts. Oops. I don't want to play a macro. So we're going to need the physics space, which I don't think I've had to get yet. Nope. So we'll steal that too. Okay, so we got the physics space. We're going to query contacts. We want the position of the shape. We want the orientation, which is going to be the body orientation. We want the filter, which is going to be where we drop the filter is this. Oh, no, it's pre-set up to be. So we're just going to hard code that here for the moment. Basically filtering out some objects. We could filter ourselves out automatically from that, for example. Filter, and then this, which is supposed to be where we dump the which is a contact listener. Actually, I think we can just say, and then it's going to be just contact. Let's look up contact listener. Layer the physics space. There goes contact listener. I could just use the contact accumulator. Yeah. And it has public contacts. Cool. So we don't need that. We can say query results equals new. Contact accumulator. Query results. I don't think it returns anything. I think in the driver we weren't doing anything with it. No, it's just whatever is in the results. Okay. And actually we wanted to probably move it ahead just slightly. So maybe 10 centimeters in front of us. So just a little bit in front of, if we got a contact within our, anyway, we'll see. It could end up being that we wanted a little more ahead. I'm trying to think, when we make a block object, every full block is really a quarter block. So 0.2 should be safe. I'm just trying to think of if we had made a custom object that had stairs, you know, in a smaller block, they'd still be pretty big, because they'd only be, these are half blocks, and so they'd be a quarter block. So I think 0.2 is fine. We don't want it to be we don't want it to be a full block if we can avoid it. So like 0.15 would be okay. 0.2 is probably okay. What I want to try to avoid is, actually, I'm going to go back to 0.1. I want to avoid hitting the back side of one of those objects. So 0.1 should be enough. So when you made your plugin, what did you use as your test? Like what did you make for that game? We want to query results. Contacts each. So we say B1, B2, contact, body 2, ID, and then let's just see if it's working. Okay. So we control And if we go like this, oop, nope. No signature method query contacts is applicable for argument types. I'm going to reset this for a second. Oh, I never gave it a shape? Yeah. I was looking at the wrong thing apparently. Because this is going to take... I missed an argument. So we want context query shape. Alright. That should be better. Control. Let's try walking up the thing. Okay, we got a bunch of contacts. And they were somewhat as expected. We got ourselves, which I need to filter out. Because we are entity 1. We got blocked falling. We never saw another one. Oh, I guess the null one would have been... No, all of these body 1, body 2. Okay, so see, these are all us hitting the world. No. It's querying both of us. I made 1 to 3 skeletons appear every 1 to 3 minutes at night, and bandits to launch raids, 1 in the spring and fall to replenish their supplies. It's called Mobgen. Nice. Neat. Sounds like fun. Modding games is fun. I did a lot of modding for Neverwinter Nights. That was lots of fun. Distracting, but fun. Of course, I wasn't working on Mythruna way back when. I was making open source game tools for Neverwinter Nights. Nice. Well, I'm glad you've had some success right away. That's always fun. So I need to know more about these contacts. Because why are we only getting... Okay, so... Yeah, we won't have... Ourselves won't have a body ID. So that one was probably the one that hit the world. And these are all the ones that hit... So I need to look up... I need more information here to debug what's going on, which means I need to look back through the M contacts. Ooh, loot. Gotta place the loot. Let's do type 1 and type 2 next. Alright. And then we'll put a nice little line here so we can easily see the formatting change. Alright, Control U, and we shall try to walk up the steps again. Boink. Alright, so we got some data. Okay, so this is the one we're interested in. Oh, it'll come. Just it's down the path. Um, yeah. That's a drug. Procedural generation. Oh man, what a drug. Okay. So this is the real one here. I think I need to filter out anything that is us. That will cut down on these results tremendously. And so let's see. Let me look at what query filters method signature looks like. Maybe it's not as clever as I wanted it to be. So let's do query filter. Oh, yeah. So it defines the type of object to check. So I can't actually use it to filter out. Oh, I can give it a predicate. By default, it's using always true for the rigid body filter. Let's include this. And so then it's the body filter and the static filter. We want all the statics. And we want to limit the bodies. We'll put this up here. Okay, so this filter, body filter equals B turn. Actually, I could just say B not equal to body, I think. And then we can do body filter. Oh, yeah. I think that works. Yep. We shall see. Body filter and then predicates. Always true. Okay, so now, in theory anyway, turning her around and walking her into the step. Yeah, so she should only get things that she can actually walk into. Yeah. Yeah, so like early on, this is nicer because we get less output. So when she was first blocked, she got hit by the feet and the knees, which is what we expect because that's block 1, that's block 2. And then as she walked up, she started to get only one contact, which is just the feet. Yeah. See, now we know. We know things. We know things. Boom, 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 boom. And so, we can decide. If let's say thanks, Max. Thanks for joining as long as you could. See you next time. So I think their query object will always be body 1. But we will double check just in case. Because because I think I had a case where they were coming out second when I was hitting other mobs. So first of all, highest equals 0. If contact dot body 1 ID equals null and contact dot type 1 is greater than highest equals, so let's just do this. Type equals contact dot type 1. We'll just assume for a second that type 1 is it. If contact dot type dot body 1 dot ID is not equal to null, or body, there's always going to be a body 1. It's not equal to null. Then type equals type 2. So then we can say if type, just in case it's screwy, if type is less than 5 and type is greater than highest, then highest equals type, and then we can log hit block highest, and we can temporarily take this out. And so now we control, and we walk into this, I see like highest 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 1. So we go back and look at this one, we see highest, yeah, hit block 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which means we could go up. If the, okay, so let's look at a case where we shouldn't be able to walk, right? Control. Here's a case where we should not be able to walk up. Oops, I forgot to, so let's let that catch up. So here's a case where we should not have been able to walk up. We were just legitimately blocked. So we will say if highest is less than 3, then we can walk up. So control. So we should not be able to walk up this. Uh-oh. We should not be able to walk up this. It steps up for a second though. That's weird. Okay, so let's see why. Hit block 0. We're going to want to visualize what these contacts look like. Yeah, because if it's 0, what was I blocked by? Okay, so without visualizing, let's just look for a second. control, turn around, and try to walk into it. Oh, we're not doing it. Okay, let's try to walk into here. Boink. We went up just a second. Okay, for the initial thing, we got no contacts, even though we were blocked. And that doesn't make any sense. I think what I for sure want to do is set the view position to where we just queried. Yep, shape entity, contact shape, position, body orientation. Cool, cool, cool. See, now it's working. Maybe I have to take a running start. Yep, I did have to take a running start. Okay. I think we could get pretty far by saying if we get no hit blocks, then let's ignore it too. Wow, she's not having a good time there. Alright. So let's control her for a second just to back her up so she stops having seizures. So if highest is less than 3, highest is greater than 0. Actually, if highest 0, log info, how are we blocked? Okay. So that should fix that problem. Let's see. Yeah, so she's not going to try to go up at all. She shouldn't here either. Yeah, oh. Yep, block, hit block 4. And she should be able to here, though. Oh, no. Right, because this should be hit block 3. She should be able to move up. Oh, because of the step there, her foot is blocking her from moving up. Like, it's no different than this over here, except for that when her foot was pushed forward, it was getting... No, it's just not working. Poop. But it is still true. So why isn't she rising up? 3 should be totally fine. Or did I do less than? Oh, less than or equal to 3. Okay, so center. Oh, because I didn't actually want her walking up those, but that's fine. She can. That solves a lot of problems, and we can essentially be done with this. I really wanted to So their other issue is that we're not actually making sure she can go up there. We really want to find out where the location is and query up again, technically. Like if we find out that she's blocked here, then we want to put this up here to see if she could fit. So I think I do want to visualize the contacts. And I kind of want to leave them around. You know, it's a productive evening when I finish the Pepsi already. It's like she is still walking up places like this. Yep, she's slow again. She should... Oh, she's not supposed to be able to do that. Yeah, there's something in her walking that occasionally will let her climb walls that she's not supposed to. Like just the animation itself. Her foot dragging, like if she continues her walk animation, I think her foot dragging on the wall will let her walk up. Which is why sometimes we hit it just right where that forward foot collides with the wall in such a way that she can step up. So she should be able to walk up one of these, yeah, like that. Okay, so I need to debug her collisions. How do I want to do that? Got other contact debug I can steal. And we can just reuse the contact entities, which would save me a lot of time. Okay, so down here where we're doing the queries, just want to add a, oops. After working in IntelliJ all week, it feels a little bit good to be back in my editor. I've noticed one little quirk I have is when I'm copying something, I'll hit Control-C. That's normal. And I, Control-V to paste it. But sometimes I go down to paste something and I accidentally hit Control-C again. And in this editor that I use, that won't clear the clipboard, but in IntelliJ, hitting Control-C with no selection will clear the clipboard. And then if you want to hit Control-V again, you get nothing. You got to go back and find the thing you cut before, or copied before. It's very frustrating. Block contacts, and we want to set the color based on the type. Color, def color equals color RGB8 red. Switch type case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. Actually, what colors do I use over here? I have an array of colors. Yeah, that's all. Nice. That's okay. I'm not going to be that smart over here. Color equals, I'm going to leave that red. Else, or no, break. Wish I could. Red. Blue. Cyan, orange, red, blue, cyan, orange. Right, is that I can just look, in fact. Red, blue, cyan, orange. Or red, blue, pink, orange. Alrighty. And then I want to also def cn equals contact normal. Oh. Oh. Contact point, contact normal. So def cp equals contact point contact normal. Okay. It's going to clear it every frame, unfortunately, so I'm not going to get to see it. That's probably why I should have done different. Because we can't see it, and they're going to go away when I stop. Oops, so I won't be able to see them now. I want them to linger around, so I think I need a different set of, not contact entities. Let's say blocked entities. And then we can come down here. So we only want to reset them if we're blocked again. So let's come up, steal this code here. They call them block or blocked? Blocked, I bet. Yep. Okay. Okay, and then down here, similar, we want to add them to blocked entities. Alright, so now it should leave them hanging around. Control. It did. So we've got a red one. In fact, if I back off, we should still be able to see them. Yeah, nice. Perfect. So we got the red one. Okay, cool. So now we should be able to see which blocks we were contacting with. And I don't remember why I wanted to do that. But it's tremendously helpful for debugging. Oh, yes. I wanted to do it because I wanted to know where the contact was happening. It's happening in the center of these blocks, but yeah, there's going to be this ugly iteration thing that I'd have rather avoided. I'm trying to figure out where I need to query with this block, with this box, so that it, in fact, I want to make another one of these that is the last sort of, so we want to make another one of these shapes, not the shape itself, but the debug of the shape to keep track of where we queried. So when we see something like this, that, and I'm just using this one as an example because we can see all three of these, but when we see something like this, we know it's blocked, we know something up here is not blocked, but we don't know if it's just a teeny little hole in the wall or something that she could climb up into, and it would look really stupid if she tried to climb up into a hole that she can't fit into. So we want to be able to take this and figure out where to put it up here to see if there's enough space for her, because it's exactly her height, essentially. There's supposed to be. It's not exactly, but it's supposed to be. I think it's just a few centimeters, maybe a centimeter shy. At any rate, so I'm going to make a new debug shape that leaves it, just like these are left behind, it will leave it behind where we projected that she would have to stand in order to fit up there. And I think it's going to have to be iterative to some extent, because these are going to be the center of this block and not necessarily where the contact happened on this, right? We don't get a nice little up vector here to know where to put this necessarily. It kind of actually depends on how far we penetrate. I wonder if we gave it a little bit more of an offset. Like I gave it that little 0.1 because I didn't want to detect back faces. Wonder how far I think we have to be more than a quarter of a block in, or more than half a block in. So it would have to be pretty significant. It would have to be half of whatever the block size was. So like if I change this to 2.5 and I reran the experiment where I walk in and then I walk back out. Yeah, so see, we did get an up vector in this case. Oh, it's blue. Why is it blue? For one thing, we shouldn't have been able to walk up, so that's a bug anyway. Okay, so we got a red and a blue and a pink. That's what I expected to see before. I guess the blue might have been left behind because we went up a little bit. So if we projected a little forward, we would get... But we had to project more than half of this space forward. And what I worry about is, for one thing, we won't always get that up vector. So we need to account for the fact that we didn't. Also, I don't want to hit the back sides of blocks because that really confuses things. So let's change it back to 0.1. At least it's predictable this way. Right. There's a certain amount of... okay, so we've got this. And so if we hit the pink block, we know we need to come up at least to the middle of the pink block. So that's a good place to start. It's actually kind of cool. And maybe a bit of a coincidence that it's hitting right at a block line. I wonder if that's always going to be true, even if this was taller. Anyway, no matter. It just changes the number of iterations we maybe have to do. But I'm going to make a second query shape. Not second query shape, but a second query debug. Query shape entity post. Okay, so we will do the same thing here. Let's create another one, exact one. And so down here, instead of using the regular one, we'll use the post one. So what this will do for us is when I'm walking around, if I come over here and I hit this, it will leave where it queried. And why that is useful is because then when we do the follow-on, which is like, okay, so we got that, now we're going to query up here, we'll be able to see what our iteration ended up at and whether it's sensible, right? Because this is, so we're blocked here, then we'll move up to here, and if we get no contacts, we may have to slide down. Or if we get no contacts and there are like literally no contacts, then we're fine. But we'll be able to see what it's doing. Actually, this will be interesting because, yeah, well, it'll change here. Okay, anyway. All right. So we got a block. We found a thing. Okay. Let's change this to B. You know, I don't think I have any examples of places we can't get to. Interesting. Did this end up speeding up again? Because if I have an excuse to... no, she still runs slow. So I'm going to kill this, because what that will let me do is... edit the playground. We're going to add some places that will sort of test this particular issue. And they'll be good because they'll be able to test with different animals and things and make sure that they actually can walk through. So we want to open the playground one that we've been playing with. Playground. Load. Okay. So we want to create a couple places. I feel like there was something else I wanted to make. But what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of a block here. We're going to do another one here, but in this case, we're going to replace it with a half block. So she should not be able to walk through there. She should also not be able to walk through here. I mean, technically with the right animation, an NPC should totally be able to walk through that particular doorway, because they could step through and crouch, right? But with the current rules, there is no crouching, so they actually cannot fit through these holes. I will add one more example here of a case where she can, right? She should be able to walk up here. I'm gonna make this a little longer, and she should also be able to walk through if there's a post. Okay, so if there's a post here and a post here, she should be able to fit through that opening. And I'm going to continue this over here. Right. I want to make... this will also give me a reasonable place to eventually have a moving platform, because it could move from here to here. So I'm going to make this a little wider. That wrecks this little... yeah. Actually, do another one here. I could put this back the way it was. Extend this out a little further. No, let's extend this one out a little further. I still want to have the regular one just like over here that I can hit from multiple sides. Before we quit, I want to make sure I've done everything that I want to do, because I feel like there was another case I wanted to be able to make sure I handled. I can't think of it, so this will be good enough for now. Alright, so save that, exit, copy, wait, with dir model set, yeah, source, main, rigger, blocks files, right? Yep. Okay, so source, main, shaper, blocks files, playground, to dot dot model set, source, main, rigger, blocks. Oops. Alright. So now, when we come back over here, gradle run rigger. I think we're making good progress tonight. Actually, strangely, we're not working on what I wanted, what I thought we'd be working on, but in a sense, something more important. So, like, I thought we'd be wrapped around the axle with those functions to step up and stuff, but I think we're actually fine with what I hacked in before. And so, so I think we're good there, and so then we can play with what the next steps are. So she should be able to walk up these eventually, right? I think I already set it next less than or equal to 0. Oh, no, I haven't. Less than or equal to 3, rather. But let's do that because then we can test more. Like, she should be able to walk up here, like that. And that's the last place it queried, so it's all good. And then she should not be able to walk up here. She's trying, right? But we ought to be able to anticipate that she can't. And it's not a requirement. Like, the pathfinding will never send an NPC through here. So technically it's not a requirement, but I want to spend a minute on it. Same here. She can't actually get through there. She's going to think she can get through here, but she can't actually. So that's fine. You know, yeah, I'm really torn about this, guys. Because the pathfinding, if implemented correctly, will already be checking for this and will not send her through openings she can't get through anyway. And so, do I spend any time... That's really cool. Do I spend any time making this smarter? I tell you what, I'm going to spend the next half hour on it, and the reason being because the same process, when we're walking into this and we hit... Oh, it didn't show the contacts. Come on, center the camera. It didn't show contacts. Is that because I stopped pushing in? There they go. Because the same logic I have to use to do this iteration is the one I'm going to have to use in the pathfinding. So it's not wasted time. Man, this looks cool, actually. I like the... Sometimes the auto shading makes things look cool. Alright, so we're going to spend a minute on it, or, well, you know, 26 minutes or whatever. Unless people have questions. If you have questions, we can deal with that as well. See if there is room for us. Well, because the other thing is, if she was to try to jump up there, it would look really dumb. Anyway, again, the pathfinding wouldn't send her up there. I have to remember, there's a separate level of intelligence. I don't have to build in all the smarts into the lowest level. That would be dumb. Alright, see if there's room for us. Okay, so this gets trickier. We'll do the position again. Keep the same body filter. Okay. But instead of this, we will add highest times. So the offset scale will be the query shape dot scale, I think. See if it likes that. Well, I mean, I've got to actually try it out. Nope. Oh, query results already defined. Yep. And pos is already defined. Okay, so let's see what happens. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's just reset for a second, so now I'll come back and look at that error. No such property scale. Sure, it's the part scale. But you know, for the moment, I'm just going to make it a part of this, so that when we do this, we can say scale. So that is the actual size of a block. So then down here, it's just this blank. And I could call it block size or something else, but this will be fine. Okay, control, go back over here, try to go up again. Alright, check it out. Ooh. Alright, so that's pretty cool. She figured out she could definitely fit up there, but again, it's too tall. We didn't get any contacts. But because we didn't get any contacts, it's fine. The issue is, yeah, there's actually no... If I come over here, she's technically not supposed to be able to walk under here. It's going to... yeah, so she gets a contact right there. Center the camera. So she got a contact right here, and so she knew she couldn't walk in there. And so it blocked her. That's the way it's supposed to work. And I didn't create a test for this, for stepping up into a situation like that. I did, actually. Over there. That's precisely this. Okay, cool. Cool. That's precisely that test. Oh, she's going slow again. So if I should not be able to walk up in here, so let's see what the query thing does. Boink. Okay, so that's the last query, and it would have prevented her from doing it. So given that it doesn't have to be perfect for now, and I'm probably going to take this out in lieu of actual pathfinding. Actually, same could be true over here. I think I'm just going to say we're going to log the number of contacts. Query results contacts dot size should work. And so if I'm heading in here and I try to walk into here, I should have gotten, oops, wrong button. hits. I should have gotten hits, okay? I did. I got 2 hits. And then if I try to do it over here, I should have gotten no hits. Contact 0, contact 0, contact 0. Whereas earlier, with the other opening, I got contacts 1. I got 1 contact, 2 contacts, depending on how high I was. So I think for now we can just say, if there are no contacts, so if is empty, if is empty, then we can walk up. Else we could refine it, but technically the path following shouldn't be sending us into places we cannot go anyway. So we'll go ahead and implement the more permissive path, and we'll ignore the cases where what I'm talking about there is there could be a case where she is a little shorter and she could have fit through this opening, but because we are querying it at a little higher or a little lower or whatever, it would still detect the presence of a contact, because we would have to adjust that query. Let me actually show you. So let's say we walked over here and we got a little bump. There we go. Oops. Oh man. Okay, like that. Okay. So see, it queried too high for that particular opening, because it used the fact that it had contacted her pink or blue. It used the fact that it had contacted her blue, and so it set that up too high. In fact, it could have done half a block. Anyway, it set it up here to try to be way fully above that blue block, right? Which is actually too high for this opening. If she was a little shorter, she could have still fit, even though this is saying she's blocked because it put it up too high. Really, we wanted it right on the surface. So if we wanted this to be accurate, we either have to use smaller blocks and do the whole thing, which is probably what I'll use for the pathfinding, or we would have to iterate and decide, oh, we blocked at the top, let's see if we can move down and zero in. And we wouldn't want to do more than maybe 1 or 2 iterations to see, because like we could average the 2 and see if we eventually fit. But I think I'm just going to leave that up to the pathfinding. This should work for, she should still be able to walk up to these. Oh man, she's walking really slow. She should still be able to walk up these without any issue. Never had a contact problem, even though it was a little high. So I think she's good. I think she can walk up to all the places that a player can walk up. Right? She can walk under here. Oh, let's see if she can walk between the. Pretty sure this won't be a problem. Yep, she can walk between the posts. So it's all good. She should not be able to walk up walls. Nope, she doesn't even try. She should not be able to walk up here, but she should be at some point able to, there you go, just a little bit down the curve, right? And then this is where she gets a little weird in the walking, but that's okay. At this rate, at this point, I'm willing to just start wrapping it up as long as it's functional, right? Even if it looks a little strange. Yeah, so she's really slowing down. Which leaves me in the position of what to do with the last little bit of time. I don't have enough time really to start on the next thing, but I could really quickly hook up anti-aliasing to the settings dialog and get that closed out. So I might do that. This is now far enough along that I think the physics control is done enough. I'm not sure. We'll probably start working on integration with the pathfinding again next week. So I like where this is right now, and the debugging is excellent. The shapes are really good. So let me just real quickly hook up the AA stuff, because like that'll, oh man, if I got into this weekend with all that working, I'd be pretty pumped. So I basically had this display panel set up where I'm just actually not capturing the, so what is it? Display settings. Yes, settings. Oh, first of all, was it, I'm now having to remember all kinds of different classes. MSAA sample size. MSAA sample size equal, oops, size equals AA. What do I call the control? MSAA. MSAA get selected item. Size is not equal to null. Settings set MSAA samples size dot get value. Okay, so that does that. And then when we set the display settings, we need to find the find MSAA samples settings dot get MSAA samples. We actually could put this up here. MSAA sample size. MSAA sample size. Find samples value. Size is values in the slow way, but if size dot value equals value, return size, return null. Okay. So where did I call this? Boink, 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 boink. All right. So we've blah blah blah. SSA sample size equals. We find them if size is not equal to null. We MSAA set selected item size. I think I got all that right. Without compile errors, we'll see. That was a lot of typing for no compile errors. Nope. So apparently there is no get selected item on. Oh no, there is. In fact, I got that part right. But I failed to remember that swing. I think there's a bug cooking in my light. Oh, that's awful. I have a halogen light in here, one of those big torch lights, because I like the warm light that it puts off. But occasionally, oh man, occasionally a bug will find its way in. Oh man, that's awful. Okay, so while this is starting up, let's make sure it compiles. I gotta go dump that out of the light, so just 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Good times. I have no idea what that looked like on the stream itself. Yeah, you guys can't even see my t-shirt, which is my It's all in the reflexes from Big Trouble in Little China. Which I'm getting way too much mileage out of. Okay, so, the thing is, the samples we loaded... Alright, so let's try setting it to 16. MSA change. Let's say if we play, let's see if it actually has 16 samples. And what we'll be able to do is go over here to the client, more doing a client config. Did it save it? Display settings. Yep, MSA sample 16. Did it actually use those when creating the world? I should probably put a debug in where that happens. Somewhere though, we take these display settings and turn them into an app settings. Get display settings. My brain is still in the physics playground. Yeah, see, we already had the app settings created, so I think at some point... That's old code. If true, blah blah blah. Pop-up start game. Oh yeah, so the splash itself creates the app settings, sure, because it's going to have like different stuff. So it's here. It sets the samples. We should have set samples. Well, I mean, we can just try going into the game. Oh, I changed the button sounds. That was the other thing I wanted to show you guys. They no longer do that. Ka-chugga! Ka-chugga! They're a little more subtle. So I'll show you. When it loads. So we get to see lots of little slideshows here. Alright, so we go in here. So yeah. Pachunk. I'll do something in a second that'll have more buttons and you'll be able to see. There's actually different button sounds. Alright, so let's see if we are actually 16AA. I'll be able to tell for two reasons. One, by how smooth the hold on, let's it doesn't look like it's using anti-aliasing to my eyes. Let's turn the daylight up. Yeah, see little buttons here. Up, 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 up. And then clunk, 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 clunk for the real buttons. And the screenshot tool. So now when you hit screenshot, it sounds like it's writing on paper. I don't know, it's the little things. Actually, those look pretty smooth. Yeah, I guess it is using anti-aliasing. Right? Because this line is super smooth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 16AA, we'll also be able to turn on this and we should get like an awful frame rate. That's not too bad, actually. But 16AA is like rendering the screen 16 times the size, sort of. Yeah. We're getting like YouTube errors. So that's working. So I got that hooked up and it's saving it, and it should remember it next time I come in. What a weird thing I did with the roof here. So one other thing to check is to one last thing to check before we're done for the night is to see if it remembered that setting when I bring it back up, because it's supposed to remember your previous settings. Yep, it did. Hey, X16. So I can set it back to disabled. Yeah, and you can do full screen now, but I'm not going to do that on the live stream because that'll just cause chaos. But yeah, so I'm probably going to remove this button because I really want to get a couple more things done. I really want to get a couple more things done rather than implementing a whole settings UI. I'd rather get my public server ready to do a world reset while saving certain areas, because I want to save Oaks Town, I want to save my Welcome Center and the huge bridge I built across the volcano, that kind of thing, in the haunted house. So I want to be able to save sections of the world, but reset everything else. And so I think I'm going to work on that this weekend, instead of a settings window that nobody cares about, especially since you could technically go in and set them in here by hand if you really wanted to. So yeah, as far as the settings window goes, I just have to make it so that we can still bring up the old one in a case of an emergency, in case somebody has to set a special refresh rate or other things. But yeah, you care about settings. Yeah. Well, like there's some settings in loot. The things that some players have to set to turn off because of bugs in OpenAL or whatever, they have to turn off the audio or set some specific things, turn off joysticks because they have something on their system that looks like a joystick and makes them turn all the time, stuff like that. And you can set that all in here, but I wanted to have like a settings screen to set those details to make it a little nicer. But anyway, that'll be a problem for another day. I want to get through with this world reset so that I can actually start to get to integrating some of this pathfinding stuff into the real engine. I will see what I can get done before the end of the month, but release at the end of the month is primary. Making it look good and have it all work is primary. Getting the pathfinding in is what I plan to do as the follow-on release. Like that'll be my summer project, is making the AI smarter. But all right, thanks for joining, everyone. If you are working on something creative in your life, I hope that you have a super productive week. Yeah, I really wish you all the best, and thanks for joining. Oh yeah, I got to do the little thanks thing. That's right, the little music. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you think of something else I should cover in a future video, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. That's me.